Ukraine will become a plot of land. France's Emmanuel Macron says, I cannot give Zelinsky of Ukraine what he's asking for. I will not respond with nuclear weapons if Russia uses them. In a resounding emptying of Ukraine and Volodymyr Zelinsky, Emmanuel Macron proceeded, paving the way for Russia to use nuclear weapons. The French president separated his country's position by stressing that if Russia drops nukes on Ukraine, France will not react with nuclear means. The bad news for Ukraine is that similar statements were made by the European Union's High Representatives of Foreign Affairs, Joseph Borrell, a while ago. What Emmanuel Macron said is very serious and will have significant consequences inside and outside NATO. The European Union countries backed down in the face of the possibility of nuclear Armageddon, and of course nothing is now stopping Russia from using tactical nuclear weapons against the Ukrainian army. In fact, this possibility has become even closer due to the continued reinforcement of Ukraine with NATO weapon systems and the risk of the conflict turning into a long-term war of attrition. We will not respond with nukes. France will not respond with nuclear weapons if Russia uses them against Ukraine, French President Emmanuel Macron said. Our doctrine is based on the fundamental interests of our nation. Mr. Macron told public broadcaster France 2. And the French president added, they are clearly defined and would not be directly affected at all if, for example, there was a ballistic nuclear attack in Ukraine in the region. It was the first time Macron discussed in detail France's nuclear deterrence doctrine regarding Ukraine. However, he noted that it's not good to talk about it too much. Macron said Putin should, quote, return to the table, end quote, and discuss peace in Ukraine, and that he believes Kiev, that is the Ukrainian government, should negotiate with him at some point. He said, today, first of all, Vladimir Putin must stop this war, respect the territorial integrity of Ukraine, and return to the negotiating table. Asked if he would support a Ukrainian offensive to retake Crimea, which Russia annexed back in 2014, in a move not recognized internationally, Macron said that at some point as the conflict evolves, Russia and Ukraine, they should go back to the negotiating table. In other words, he wants to make it clear that nobody else should be involved in this. They should find the solution between themselves. So he said, the question is whether the goals of the war will be achieved by military means alone, he said, although it's up to the Ukrainians to decide what those goals should be. When the reporter reminded him that Ukraine no longer wanted to negotiate with Putin, Macron replied, I tell you that at some point it will be necessary. This is why I have always been opposed to maximalist positions. He also said that the war has entered an unprecedented stage since the weekend because for the first time throughout Ukraine, civilians have lost their lives and electricity and heating facilities have been destroyed. Macron said the aim of the Russians in these last days was to bend to crush the Ukrainian resistance. Finally, he acknowledged that France, quote, is not in a position to give what the Ukrainians are asking for. He says, I am obliged to keep some to protect ourselves and our NATO eastern flank, end quote. Let's remember that Germany has been supplying Ukraine too, and Germany only has a day or two of ammunition left. If something, God forbid, happens to Germany and they need to defend themselves, they only have 2 days of ammunition. So this is why I suppose Macron of France has this stance too. He has to have something to protect France with. He says, I'm obliged to keep some to protect ourselves and our NATO eastern flank. Amazingly, Borrell, nuclear attack on Ukraine will have strong response, but not nuclear, he said. At the same time, the EU High Representative of Foreign Affairs, Joseph Borrell, gave the same answer a while ago. So I guess the whole of the European Union will have that stance. If Russia proceeds to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine, the West response will be strong, but not nuclear, he said. Well, I'm sorry to laugh. It's a cynical laugh I'm giving you here. If Russia uses nuclear, we will respond, but not with nuclear. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. What are you going to respond with? Anyway, he says it must be clear that any nuclear attack against Ukraine will provoke a response, not a nuclear response, but a military response so powerful that it would annihilate the Russian military, Borrell said in a speech in Belgium. Now, how will the Russian army be annihilated if Moscow starts to... I'm sorry. I should not be laughing. It's just that sometimes politicians, I guess, look, if you were in his shoes, what would you say? That, yeah, we'll retaliate with nuclear? I mean, that's Armageddon, obviously. And you've got to keep your cool. What are you going to do here? I mean, the world has never faced such a situation before. It would be total annihilation of every single living thing and every green leaf on the planet. So he says, how will the Russian army be annihilated? Now, how will the Russian army be annihilated if Moscow starts regularly dropping nukes on Ukraine and turns it into a plot of land, is the question. Referring to the recent position of the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, who in his speech on the occasion of the annexation of the provinces of Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, had said that he is not bluffing when he says that Russia will use every available weapon, even nuclear, to defend the new territories. Borrell pointed out that even the Western countries are not bluffing when they warn about what will follow if nuclear weapons are used in Ukraine. The world needs to stop this conflict, he said. The European Union should continue to support Ukraine and seek diplomatic solutions when possible. At this point in time, it is not possible, Borrell emphasized. This was from War News 247, from a Greek article I've translated for you. I'll leave links below. Please leave your comments. What do you think about this? Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.